イバーだ。よろしくな。
剣闘も習っていたのかい。
さっき映画ってやつで見た技術と俺の格闘の組み合わせだ。バーン。やっぱり付け焼き場じゃ無理か。
Winter 2026, the season where we froze our butts off outside, but our screens absolutely scorching. We had wizards, curses, fire soldiers, and whatever the hell was happening in the Fate timeline this week. It was a season of returning giants and newcomers that punched way above their weight class. So grab your heated blankets and emotional support waifus, it's time to break down the absolute peak of Winter 2026. We've finally arrived at the end of the road, or rather, the end of the wildest, most violently educational dinner party in anime history. I've always said that Golden Kamui is the only show that can seamlessly transition from a suspenseful sniper duel to a 5-minute segment on how to properly season sea otter brains, and this final season took that tonal whiplash and turned it into an art form. It felt like saying goodbye to a chaotic group of friends you just met in a fever dream. It's pure, unadulterated adrenaline animated with a grit that finally matched Noda's manga, a truly distinct masterpiece that refused to be anything but itself until the very last season. Okay, look, I thought I knew what to expect here, okay? I thought we were getting a standard magical girl spin-off, but I was wrong. I was so wrong. Cosmic Princess Kaguya is what happens when you take the DNA of a beloved franchise, inject it with sugar, caffeine, and 90s space opera tropes, and then set the whole thing on fire just for laughs. It's less of a coherent story and more of a visual assault of colors and meta humor. It's rare for a parody to stand on its own two legs, but the comedic timing here is razor sharp. It doesn't rely on you knowing the source material to be funny, though it helps. It relies on the universal language of absurdity. It's vibrant, stupid, and exactly the kind of brain rot I needed this winter. If you listen closely, you can actually hear the sound of the animators' souls leaving their bodies to bring us this spectacle. David Production declared war on the concept of visual imitation. We knew the finale was coming, but I wasn't prepared for the sheer scale of the madness. Atsushi Okubo's world has always operated on the rule of cool, but this season pushed the visuals into the realm of psychedelic horror. The fights stopped being about choreography and started becoming abstract paintings made of neon fire and ink. It's loud, and the sound design continues to have the heaviest bass in the industry. I mean, my subwoofer is still filing a restraining order against this show. While the story gets increasingly metaphysical, ending a shonen series with this level of stylistic arrogance is something that I've got to respect. It's going out screaming, and it looks beautiful doing it. We've heard opposites attract since school, and this anime is exactly that.
彼女のいない一日はあまりにも静かだ。
This show is the romantic equivalent of a warm cup of tea on a rainy Tuesday. It completely bypasses the toxic will they won't they drama that usually plagues the genre, instead giving us a relationship that feels grounded, awkward, and painfully relatable. Yeah, my wife was staring at me every minute while watching this anime because that's how relatable it was. The dynamic between the energetic Suzuki and the quiet Dani is refreshing because they actually communicate. I loved how the series uses visual clutter and pop art aesthetics to represent their internal panic. It captures that specific high school feeling where a simple text message feels like a life or death situation. It's sweet without being saccharine, and honestly, without being cynical too. If you needed to restore your faith in love, or just remember what it was like to have butterflies in your stomach, this is the show to watch.
今の私最強な気がする。ただいま。
おかえり。夕飯まだできてないわ。
全然大丈夫。さっきの写真見返しちゃおう。嘘やん。では女神の力を持って喜んで祝福しましょう。
We're all tired of the chosen one narrative, right? Well, so is this show.
祈りなさい。
Sentenced to be a hero takes the shiny veneer of high fantasy and drags it through the mud. The premise is grim. The worst criminals are forced to be heroes because nobody else wants the job. It's Suicide Squad meets Dragon Quest, but with actual consequences. I was hooked in episode 1 itself by how it deconstructs the idea of heroism not as a virtue, but actually as a punishment. The protagonist isn't saving the world out of the goodness of his heart, he's actually doing it to shave time off his sentence. That transactional nature adds a layer of tension to every fight. Yes, the goddess can be a bit annoying at first, but once you get past it, it is just mwah. It's dark, cynical, and surprisingly political, offering a gritty flavor that stood out starkly against the brighter shows of the season.
どうした？おい！これで終わりだ！楽勝だ！そらそらそらそらそら！
The Anime Merch just dropped their latest collection, and I'm not joking when I say this stuff hits different. Let's start with the hoodies. Check out those clean designs, packed with authentic anime vibes and comfortable enough for everything from marathon streaming sessions to stepping outside. This hoodie's versatile enough for every arc of your life. My favorite part? It's subtle yet powerful. Real fan gear. The type that gets noticed by fellow weebs who'll throw you that silent nod of respect. But here's the thing, if you're a true fan, you know your room is more than just a room. It's a shrine. And a shrine isn't complete without some serious flexes. The Anime Merch gets that, okay? They're not selling you junk that belongs in a filler episode. They're here to give your setup the kind of glow up even Goku would respect. The amazing peeps at the Anime Merch have hooked us up with 10% off your entire order. Just use code VINI at checkout. I've already placed my order, so now it's your turn. The link's in the description. Move fast before your size or favorite piece sells out. Stay cozy, stay cultured, and now back to the video. Every once in a while, an anime comes along that feels less like a TV show and more like an indie film festival darling. Love Through a Prism is that show. Visually, it's stunning. The use of lighting and color palettes to convey emotional states is masterful. I found myself getting lost in the backgrounds, which often told more of a story than the dialogue did. The art's beautiful too. Every frame feels unique. It tackles complex themes of identity and fractured relationships with a maturity that the medium often lacks. However though, be warned, this isn't a happy watch, okay? It's an emotional roller coaster. It explores the messy, ugly parts of loving someone, and by the end, I felt hollowed out, but in that specific, cathartic way that only great drama can achieve. It's a slow burn that leaves a scar. It feels like we waited an eternity to get back to the island, but Hell's Paradise wasted zero time reminding us why we missed it in the first place.
Shige-san!
化け物ども。いや、この島にいる生き物すべて皆殺しにしてやる。
This season leaned fully into the body horror. The Tao power system finally clicked into place, turning the fights from simple brawls into strategic puzzles of elemental matchups, all while fleshy flower monsters tried to turn the cast into compost. I particularly enjoyed how the show handled the uneasy alliances. Seeing sworn enemies forced to cover each other's backs because the island itself is trying to eat them never gets old, does it? Gabimaru remains a compelling anchor, balancing his ruthless efficiency with that singular, wholesome motivation of just wanting to go home to his wife. It's violent, it's grotesque, and the animation for the Tencent transformations was absolutely sickening, but in the best possible way. I've spent years trying to explain the Fate timeline to people. I've used charts, and you know what? I've even used whiteboards. And then Fate Strange Fate comes along and says, who cares? Let's just throw everyone into the American desert and see what happens. Think Bakano or Durarara, but with heroic spirits. The ensemble cast is massive, the pacing is frantic, and the power scaling is completely broken. We have a police chief sergeant, Gilgamesh being Gilgamesh, and a literal plague as a character. It's absolute chaos, and I love every second of it. It captures that specific holy grail war excitement where you have no idea who's going to match up against whom. It doesn't hold your hand, it throws you into a sandstorm and demands that you keep up. For a Fate fan like me, this was pure unrefined mana. Also, the OST is a banger. Sawano never disappoints.
相変わらず見事な腕だ。エクスカリバー！今までのやつとは違う。
How do you follow up a masterpiece? You simply continue the journey. Season 2 of Frieren shifts the focus slightly, and somehow the writing got even tighter. If the first season was about the melancholy of the past, this season feels like a confrontation with the present. The magic system remains the most wizard-like in anime, understated, tactical, and devastating. But the real magic is still in the quiet moments. The way the show handles the passage of time is suffocatingly beautiful. I mean, I found myself just staring up at simple conversations, realizing that for an elf, a human life is just a flickering candle. It's profound, it's patient, and it's arguably the best fantasy writing that we have right now.
なぜ僧侶の私が重い方を？
ハイターは酒臭いってさ。
Rules? We don't need rules. We need vibes and violence. The Culling game is controversial for how complicated it gets, but the anime adaptation understood the assignment. Make it look so cool that nobody questions the logic. The energy this season was feral. We moved away from the structured school setting into a battle royale free-for-all, and the shift in tone is palpable. The highlight, of course, is Hakari. Watching a man whose superpower is essentially crippling gambling addiction beat people up to the rhythm of his own theme song was the peak of shonen hype. It's nonsensical, it's loud, and it's Gege Akutami seemingly daring us to look away. I stopped trying to understand the point system 3 episodes in and just let the spectacle wash over me. Sometimes you just want to watch sorcerers punch each other through buildings, and JJK delivers that in spades.
頭は頭。攻撃さえ届けば勝ち割れる。